Oh my gosh, we're live. Oh, now I'm getting nervous. I feel stressed. Okay, whew. Now, I did just move a bunch of weights, so I'm breathing hard because of that. I just got a workout in. We have a packed house, so I just want to thank the thousands of people that have shown up today. Thank you for being here at our location here on Main Street in Rowlett. And I want to thank the tens of thousands of viewers on Facebook for being here today as well. The topic, as you may well know, is stress. We're going to be talking about stress, the things that stress us out, and how to get more stressed out. Oh, no, never mind. No.
That's not it.
We're gonna talk about the things that may stress us out and how to cope with it a little bit better, some tools to implement in our life and make it a little bit better. Melissa's here with me. Hi, Melissa. We're just so excited about this. Melissa here, she and I, her family and my family, we've been friends for almost 15 years. We go way back into our CrossFit days in Rockwall. She is an aerospace engineer, welcoming us from outer space and rocket building, but she is also a nutrition coach. She is also an ambassador for essential oils. She's got a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise and experience in just so many areas. She's just an amazing mom. She knows things about like kids, marriage.
Just a little.
Things about being married, all kinds of good stuff. So she's just a rock star. So this is Melissa, and I'm Asa. Nice to meet you guys. I'm a chiropractor. For those of you maybe joining in that don't know who I am, I'm a CrossFit coach. So we've been doing that for about 10 years, and chiropractic for about 8 years. So. Anything else you want to say, Melissa, to introduce yourself?
I think you gave some good highlights, so I appreciate. And I'm really happy that you and I decided to do this. I think both you and I, we've shared a lot of knowledge over the years that we just want to make sure other people know besides us.
Yeah, cool. All right, awesome. So I've been thinking about this topic of stress for a long time. Most of my life I thought about stress, and when we talked about this, joining forces to go live on Facebook and present to a group here, I wanted it to be a little bit different. I wanted to see if we could be a catalyst for implementing these things, find a way to break some barriers. Rather than just giving you some tools, because there are so many good tools out there, so many amazing techniques that you can implement in your life, but getting to that point, getting to the point of implementing these things, it might be the challenge that a lot of us are facing, and especially since the last year and a half, COVID, and all this fun stuff, all the shutdowns and everything. So I just wanted to start the presentation out a little unconventionally. If you have a pen and paper at home, break it out. Okay, I want you to take some notes. Okay, so we're gonna peel this back. One of my props that I really did want was an onion. I wanted everybody to have an onion, so we would peel that onion back, and then by the end of the presentation, we would all be crying. So if you are at home and you want to break that onion out, we can start there. Okay, so what we do, what I was thinking about is this onion with these layers, and so we'll start with the outer layer, the outermost layer that I wanted to focus on, and it boils down to our mindset. Okay, the mindset this is what we tell ourselves. This is the story we tell ourselves, and for most of us, this is I am stressed is the story we are telling ourselves morning, noon, and night. And so the reason I bring this up is as a story, this is something, your story, you are the author, the publisher, the editor of your story. And so you have the power to change your story. This might be new to you, and you may not be ready to wrap your head around that concept, but I just wanted to introduce the possibility that if there's a story and this story is your life, then we can change that story and you can write a new story. And it just might be one of those layers that we need to peel back first in order to then be able to implement some strategies to reduce our stress, knowing that we can write a new story and implement these strategies, okay? The next layer I wanted to get into is focus. So what are we focused on? Two things in particular I wanted to talk to or address is when it comes to stress, are we focused on eliminating stress, or are we focused on how we respond to stress? And it's important to distinguish between the two, because I'll give you an example. If I walk into my kitchen and there are dirty dishes everywhere and it stresses me out, okay? I can respond to this by attacking those dishes and getting them done, and then cleaning the kitchen up. I could eliminate the stress. I can just take the trash can in, wheel the blue thing in, and empty everything into the dumpster and throw it all away, okay? And this is the way we look at a lot of things in life. We just shut the door, we throw it away, we ignore it, we try to eliminate this stress as opposed to thinking in terms of responding to it. So next layer of the onion, just opening up our willingness or acknowledgement to these different stresses, and do we want to focus on trying to eliminate them or focus on responding to them? And then within that focus is the next kind of little layer, mini layer is, are we focused on external things or internal things that may be contributing to our stress, right? So I'm just gonna lay it out there and leave it right there. External, watching the news, right? Okay? Are we focused on all the things going around in the world that we have absolutely no control over? Or are we looking close inward at the things right in our eyesight? Okay, my kids are stressing me out. Let me respond and let me write a new story, right? And so just recognizing where our focus may be. So are we focused on trying to eliminate? Are we focused on responding? Are we focused on things that we can't control? Or are we focused on the little baby things right in front of us that we can handle one day at a time, one step at a time? The next layer of the onion I wanted to cover was can you read that? No, probably not. It says ownership, all right? So ownership, there's two little layers of ownership as well. So is it me or is it them? And that's what I'm talking about here with ownership. So is my boss stressing me out, or is the way I'm responding stressing me out to my boss's behavior, right? Are my kids stressing me out, or is my response to my kids stressing me out? So taking ownership. And there's a lot more. There's so much more. We could spend hours on each of these layers of the onions. I'm just introducing these, just bringing them to the surface, trying to peel back the onion, just to acknowledge that they're there. So taking ownership and recognizing that there is a distinction between someone creating stress in your life and your stress that you're creating in response to that, okay? And that kind of goes back into the next layer of the ownership is some of us may have heard of turning our have-tos into want-tos. You've heard of this before? So, you know, it's the old story of like, really there's this thing called free will. Some of us have heard about this before. It goes way back a long time, right? Where we have the free will to do whatever, unless we're chained up or we're in prison or something like that, right? We can choose what to do. And so too often we are not taking ownership of this, personal responsibility, and I'll go extreme. So it's like, I'm stressed out, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that. And if you look at it and say, no, I don't have to do any of that. I can get in my car and I can drive off into the sunset, never look back, never turn around. I can do this. And then we start to look at it from a different perspective, and it's like, well, it's not that I have to feed my kids. Now I really do want to feed my kids. So they're not maybe stressing me out as much as I thought. I'm not gonna drive into the sunset and completely abandon them, all right? And so it's just a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. The last thing in this onion, I just realized that you probably couldn't read ownership, so you're sure as heck not going to be able to read environment, but I just felt like I should have a quiet pause there and write that in there. So our environment, there's two components here. Is our environment clean or is it cluttered? Okay, and so this is incredibly powerful, even from a neurological perspective, from a day-to-day activity level perspective. So 90% of the decisions we make on a daily basis are unconscious. And there's a reason for that. There's a survival mechanism, right? So when we wake up in the morning, we put one foot in front of the other, we go brush our teeth, we get dressed, we don't think about it. We know at the end of the day we did all these things because we're clothed, we're not walking around naked, and our breath doesn't stink, all right? So we did what we needed to do. We don't think about those things. Our unconscious takes over. And that's so that our conscious mind can be freed up to make really powerful decisions, life-changing decisions, stress-reducing decisions. And so when we're talking about the environment and is it clean or cluttered, I look at it as, if I'm gonna go in the morning and open up my cabinet to pull out my toothbrush to brush my teeth, if it's cluttered with 50 different colors of toothbrushes, right, then I'm gonna be stressed. I'm gonna have to make a decision first thing in the morning. I'm gonna have to figure out what color of toothbrush I wanna use, right? Or maybe you've got an electric toothbrush, and then you've got the turbo electric toothbrush, and then you've got the non-electric toothbrush, and maybe you've got different flavors of toothpaste, and maybe you've got organic toothpaste and fluoride-free toothpaste, and you've got all these decisions, all this cluttering your, what otherwise should be an unconscious decision to make. So that's one part of the environment. And the last part of the environment, this is really powerful too, is it's the people we surround ourselves with. And I love this topic because it kind of gets funny. So that many of you have heard about if I meet the 5 people that you hang out with the most, that I can tell where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, right? And so it's like your inner circle, okay? And so when I talk about environment and inner circles, people start light bulbs going off. Yeah, that person stresses me out. I can't wait to tell them they are out of my circle now. And that's not the point at all. We need to be loving and kind and wonderful. And all we want to do is just recognize if I'm trying to make a change, incorporate some of the tips that Melissa's going to introduce here in a few minutes, and I struggle because I am, my inner circle is people that are maybe elevating my stress in different ways, or inhibiting my progress and my development, figuring out ways to navigate that. Again, each of these layers, we can go in so much depth. I think there's probably 1,000 books on each topic. But I just wanted to introduce them because I felt like it was essential for this talk to not just get up and say, let's do some exercises. I'm going to show you some exercises, don't worry. But just get some exercises, add an extra 30-minute routine to your day that you don't feel like you have time for. But I wanted to just bring these up, and hopefully everybody took notes. There will be a quiz at the end of this, and we'll be grading it, and so now don't get stressed, just make sure you've got your notes. The next thing I would like to talk about is, well, I'm done. That's been like an hour. Okay, it's Melissa's turn, and I wanted to introduce her again. She's got a lot of good stuff. Melissa, come on down.
Thank you, Asa. Okay, so, right, we talked about really good stuff on, kind of our mindset and what causes stress. But think about stress in really two different ways, right? There's physical and psychological, right? So we really do have, a lot of this stuff that Asa really mentioned is really the mental side, right? We kind of put deadlines on ourselves, or our kid is maybe doing something we don't want them to do, and so that stresses us out. We do also have the physical side, right? If you exercise, that is a physical stressor, with benefits, of course. I think back to Snowmageddon, where maybe we didn't have power and it was 40 degrees in our house, and being cold like that, that's a physical stress. And then the mental side of, when am I going to get power back, right? That's the mental side of it. But the one thing to note, whether it is physical or it is mental, that stress to the body is seen the exact same way. It is generic to the body, in a sense, that our body and nature has natural solutions to handle stress, no matter what form it comes in. And so when our body gets into stress mode, certain body functions shut down. So if you are nervous to give a speech, then maybe you get that dry cotton mouth. That's because saliva is not necessary for survival. So that is something that gets shut down when you are stressed out. But we have what is called the parasympathetic nervous system that is designed to calm us down. That is part of our body, naturally in there, right? To get us to calm down, and part of that is our airways. So one thing that we have learned is the fastest way to naturally calm yourself down is by breathing in what we call a physiological sigh. And this actually makes me think of Lamaze, or if you've ever heard a child sob, they go, so everyone do that with me. Okay, a little goofy, I know. But the double inhale with a long exhale. You want to make sure you extend that exhale. That is the body's natural way of calming down, calming our heart rate and alleviating stress, whatever kind of stress that is. So if you just got done working out, you could do some breathing cycles like that. Or if maybe you just got yelled at by your boss, another way to handle stress. Look at your breathing. So I think a lot of people, that's not always an easy thing to think of when you're in a stressful situation of, okay, I gotta breathe, right? Calm down. That doesn't really work, right? So having a trigger, something maybe you can think of that is gonna think, okay, I need to breathe in this situation. And so one way to do that is to actually activate our limbic system, okay? When you think of limbic system, you could think of laughing gas. So when you go to the dentist, if you were to be given laughing gas, breathing in those chemicals is what activates the limbic system. It's the fastest way to the brain, and it actually will, right, give you that euphoric feeling from those chemicals. Well, the same thing can be activated with scent, right? If you were to smell something, that can create memories. That can create a trigger. So one catalyst would be, if you think, like personally, when I was younger, whenever I'd smell homemade bread, it made me think of my great aunt. Because every time we visited her, she always made everything from scratch and homemade bread. So that memory would make me feel very, cozy and comfortable. And so you can create that same activity with stress and having some sort of scent that you would activate the limbic system, and that can help you remember, okay, I need to breathe, I need to calm down, I need to extend my exhales to bring my heart rate down. And so one thing we can use, a natural compound that is a scent that is also going to help open up our airways so that we can focus on our breathing, is menthol. Menthol, I think we all relate to mint. Menthol is very cooling, and research has shown with that cooling sensation, when it hits the respiratory tract, it actually soothes and creates that calm, promotes clear breathing in our respiratory tract. And so with that, you can think peppermint. So maybe you like peppermint tea, spearmint tea. You could also, of course, use essential oils. That's more concentrated, and then you don't need as much. So for the people that are here, I brought everyone vials of peppermint oil. And I know Asa is going to tell you to rub it in your eyes, and I'm going to tell you do not do that ever. You will feel it. But take the vial and just take a whiff. And you will notice nice clear breathing. To actually, amplify that, you could take just a single drop on your finger and put it on the roof of your mouth. Besides giving you fantastic breath, you will notice immediately the cooling sensation. Please don't feed other people the peppermint. Keep it to yourself. But you'll feel a cooling sensation besides it will open you up, right? That is why you don't put it near your eyeballs, because your eyeballs will, for sure, tear up. They will open up, indeed, yes. But I did give, for the people who showed up, there is a little note on there, all the many ways you can use peppermint, not just for opening up breathing. Another tool, so if you are the type that you don't like peppermint, or maybe you already associate mint smell, your limbic system associates that with something you aren't a big fan of, you can also reach out for Eucalyptol. Eucalyptol is another naturally occurring compound that is shown to support the respiratory function. So that can be found in eucalyptus, basil, and rosemary. So those are some normal spices you cook with, especially if you like Italian. Or I don't think anyone cooks with eucalyptus, but again, very much opening up the airways to help you breathe.
When we have a koala over.
Yes. But I know besides we can open our airways up with, essential oils, with natural plants. I know, Asa, you had some just physical ways we could kind of open up our airways. If you want to show something to think about.
Yeah, so we mentioned exercise. So posture has a huge part, or plays a huge part in our airways. So if we are crouched like this and we're stressed out, our ribs are closed, our shoulders are down. So just something as simple as sitting up nice and tall. I've got 3 little exercises that I teach most people. It's very helpful, and it starts like this. And if you're watching at home, try this out. You just put a hand right here on the back of your head. Go ahead, everybody, and then you put the other hand back in here, and then you do this. No, I'm just kidding, but this is funny, and so it can relieve stress, but in all honesty, no, it's very simple, but just something as simple as a shoulder roll, so just up, back, and down, and I'm stopping just to show that I'm being deliberate, and I'm wanting to contract these muscles. So I'm not going to get into all the muscles that are being contracted and relaxed, but we're taking advantage of what's called reciprocal inhibition. So as you contract one muscle, the contralateral muscle will be relaxing, okay? Just when I see patients, I teach a number of neck and shoulder exercises, and when we get to this one, it's like, because these muscles are bound up, and if you've ever been in a situation, maybe you're getting massage, or in particular in yoga, and the yoga instructor's like, relax. And it's like, I can't relax. I'm too tense. Well, shorten those muscles in the contracted state and then relax them. So that's a good one. Another one that I love for opening the airways in particular is just putting our arms up, elbows shoulder height. We bring our elbows together, squeeze those elbows together, and then come back and squeeze those shoulder blades together. That's going to engage all these back muscles that are going to help pull our shoulder girdle back, opening our pecs, and opening up that chest so that we can breathe. The other thing that you can do is loosen the belt buckle, because we do want to belly breathe, right? So we want to use the belly to relax. It's totally different. Never mind. I'm just kidding. But let's go back to Melissa. I do have a number of other exercises I want to talk about, but I know she's got a lot to talk about too, so bye.
Thank you, Asa. I know one thing that I have learned that, if you set some sort of timer, or maybe you have a sticky note that is your symbol to, grab peppermint, open up the airways, focus on that breathing throughout the day, that's what's going to help us. Because let's be honest, right? One bout of a stressful situation in the day is not the problem. Our bodies are meant to handle that. The problem is that we experience that stress throughout the day over and over. So personally, right, I get up, I exercise first thing in the morning. So that's a good physical stress. But then I come in and I'm rushing around trying to get ready, and I'm rushing trying to get my son ready and get him out the door. So I have that, kind of an induced stress of I don't have enough time, I'm going to be late to work. I get to work and then, right, floodgates open for me, right? I get phone calls, I got to go to the airplane. I got coworkers that need to be tasked with work, so they're waiting on me, right? I feel like my heart rate's elevating just talking about that right now. But, right, that's the kind of stuff that I feel throughout the whole day, right? And that's where it kind of builds up. And that's where you hear all the time of this is the chronic stress that people feel nowadays, and we start having issues, right? That's when we start seeing, our brains are just not as healthy because of that constant stress. So we really want to figure out how to, throughout the day, create the environment that is going to help lower that stress. And so one compound I want to tell you guys about is called Linalool. I'm going to write it because it's just funny to me to say, but Linalool. So it's a naturally occurring compound that actually interacts with our neurotransmitters. So I am a nerd. I'm going to geek out for a minute here. But so our body, right, made up of neurotransmitters, and particular ones are called GABA A receptors. And they are particularly focused on calming our mind down. So they're vital when it comes to sleep and to relaxation. So if we start getting overexcited, GABA A receptors step in, help control, bring it down. So research has shown that when linalool is applied to GABA A receptors, that it actually strengthens the receptor. So it actually strengthens the calming down effect that it has on our body. And so what that means is that, that things like lavender, rose, basil, neroli, these are naturally occurring plants, can actually strengthen our neurotransmitters to calm us down. So that's why I think a lot of people know, you think lavender, you think that's gonna help me sleep, right? That's why we think that. Another thing, and I say that because I actually am not a big fan of lavender, but I love neroli and I actually love basil just to have in the air. So that's something that you could have diffusing throughout the day if you have a diffuser. I have a bracelet here that I can actually roll it on, and they're little lava rocks. So it soaks up those oils, and so it stays on there. It can be applied directly to the skin. There's actual ways to dilute it and make it safe for skin application. But it's ways that your body can be taking it in throughout the day that you don't really have to think about it calming you down. You don't have to do a particular activity to get it to calm you down once you, say, set that diffuser. So another thing that we can try is using, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but camazuline. Okay, this is again a natural occurring compound, and this actually is more focused on physical stress. So when our body, the cells are stressed for, say you did a workout, then it's going to produce a protein at a higher rate than normal. And when they apply in research camazuline to the cells when they are stressed, it actually makes that protein inert. So, right, it helps the cells, our physical body cells, not get the stress reaction. And so camazuline is found in chamomile. So again, we think, I'm gonna drink chamomile to calm down at night. It's also found in blue tansy. It's a flower. And of course, chamomile, blue tansy, those are oils that can be used. So that is something that you could actually apply to maybe a sore muscle, that maybe you've actually, have an injury, have a joint ache. Like I get low back because I sit a lot and I get tight hamstrings. And I know Asa knows all about that, but right, I can apply that to my low back to help soothe those aches. But I know that Asa has some more exercises, stuff we can do throughout the day to help us with our constant stress battle.
Oh, thank you, Melissa, for that introduction. But yeah, so there's segueing in. I loved all of those points that she made. The Linalool, and then what was there was another one that was a lot of O's in it. You said you liked a lot. You don't like lavender, but you like
Oh, rose and neroli.
neroli. So I thought you would have spelled neroli up there. But is that like a noodle, or what is that?
It's actually the flower off of an orange tree.
The flower off of an orange tree. Okay, cool. Neroli, very cool. Well, I would like to smell that. But I loved too the lava rock bracelet. That's wicked cool because that's kind of along the lines of trying to introduce stress-reducing habits or ideas, coping mechanisms without creating more stress. And there's nothing easier probably than putting a little essential oil on a bracelet and wearing it all day. Requires no thought, so that's fantastic. And I was going to say too, when it comes to relieving stress, movement in general relieves psychological stress. Not so much physical stress, I guess, because you're putting gravity is pushing down on your body on you while you're moving. So we're inducing physical stress, but it's releasing good hormones that help us reduce stress. So something that you might consider is what I like to consider or try is throughout the day moving. So we're no longer in this 3 times a week, 30 minutes a day of exercise. We're realizing that we need to move multiple times. We don't need to stand all day at a standing station. We don't need to sit all day at a sitting station. We just have to get up. And it's funny because many of us remember back in school when we changed classes. We'd be in class for 50 minutes and then we would have 10 minutes of recess or going to the lockers and stuff. And so when it comes to movements, there's not necessarily any particular movement that you need to introduce. It's just setting a timer, putting a little peppermint in your nose, and going for a walk for 2 minutes, right? And just checking out for a very short time, taking ownership of that time and saying, look, I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not. Now, some of you may be emergency responders, right? So you can't do that, okay? You're going to have to do that on your day off. But for the most part, an emergency for us is maybe a text message where someone's needs you to go to the store or after work or something like that, right? So most of our urgent, stressful things can be put on hold. But walking is one of the best exercises. So literally getting up and going for a walk for 2 minutes. It's so simple. And I like the 2-minute walk so much because I've never talked to anyone that doesn't have 2 minutes, right? And so it goes back to those layers of onions and recognizing that we can take ownership and make some changes with regards to. I do teach a fun little breathing. I wanted Melissa to get more into that though, because she teaches actually a bit different breathing technique than I do. Is there more to the breathing than the inhale, exhale?
The big thing is just extending that exhale.
Just extending that exhale. So
and that's just the natural way we see people do it is that double inhale with the exhale.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So the one I talk about, and you can Google it, you can watch Crocodile Breathing. So it's just lying down. This is not for maybe in the middle of a fire or something like that where you obviously can't lay down. But
maybe in an open cube, it's not also acceptable at work to do this.
I highly recommend this. This would so lower your stress and increase your popularity with your coworkers if you lay down in your cube at work. That would be fantastic. But it literally is just take one hand on top of the other on your forehead, lay down, in through your nose, out through your nose. It instantly stimulates that parasympathetic nervous system Melissa touched upon before. Parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest, which then turns off the sympathetic nervous system. Many of us have heard about the sympathetic nervous system. This is our fight or flight, okay? Both nervous systems cannot be on at the same time. So you turn one on, the other one turns off. And so it just triggers that and just instantly will relax you, and it doesn't require too much other than enough floor space. And respect from your colleagues to understand your need to lay down for a few minutes. All right. Melissa, what else do you have?
Well, I did want to share, I talked about some of these tools, some of the oils, the natural compounds, and one thing that I love is that, so I work with doTERRA. They are known for their high quality products, and the reason I say that is because if you want to get essential oils, because I don't think a lot of us plan to grow a bunch of rosemary plants and then peppermint and and rose bushes, right? Like, if we're not all gardeners, we don't have easy access to this. So essential oils is a great way to get access to these products at high quality. And like I said, essential oils are not actually regulated. And so doTERRA is known for the fact that they do third-party testing, and their third-party testing is literally like 50 plus tests on the product before it ever goes to a customer. And so that way, you are getting the best product. And so they have created two main products that I wanted to touch on because they combine what I talked about into one thing. So they have a product called Adaptive, and it is an oil blend. It can be diffused. It is also set up to be rolled onto your skin. They actually create capsules, which can be taken internally. Again, this is because doTERRA's product is such high quality that you can ingest essential oils. And so the product includes lavender and neroli, which I talked about being the items that have linalool. And then it also has spearmint and rosemary, which I talked about opens up your airways. And then it also does have some wild orange in it. And orange is known just for being uplifting. So this is really for the mental side of stress. So if you're feeling stressed out at work, this is something that you can be diffusing regularly to be uplifting, opening up your airways, and then also actually, interacting with our neurotransmitters to keep us calm. I do use it regularly, I'm not gonna lie. But there's also another product that is for the physical stress. So if you have, sore muscles, again, you've worked out, maybe something is hurting. There's a product called Deep Blue, and it comes also in oil form. It comes in a lotion form, and it's gonna have your different mints in it. So peppermint, so it'll have that menthol, so it'll be nice and cooling to soothe. But then it does have blue tansy and chamomile, which, like I talked about, interacts with our body cells to keep the protein inert. So again, those are two products that I personally love, that I will share with those that are here in person, so you can just check them out to see why they may be so effective. Anything else, Asa?
Do you have any common questions that people out there may have that you've heard a lot of?
So I think the most common thing people, when they think of essential oils, they typically think this is what's going to calm me down, this is what's going to relax me, right? And there's so many uses to them. But maybe you're like, oh, well, I tried that oil and it didn't work for me. And it's kind of like food in the sense of, you can get vitamins from all different kinds of food, but doesn't mean you're gonna like every kind of food that is gonna maybe sit well with you. So there's always an oil out there that is, like I said, with linalool, there's 4 different oils that's a main constituent. So you can find an oil that works for you, and it can be used on all ages. I will say my pediatrician does prescribe essential oils for my son and has since he was born. So if he does have an issue, it is something that when applied safely with some carrier oil, it can be applied to the skin to all ages. And again, is safe to use. So it doesn't have to be taken internally, and you don't only have to diffuse, but there's a lot of different uses that, again, it's very much specific to you and what a person's needs are.
It's funny you brought that up. I was kind of wondering, when you mentioned vitamins, what it made me think of is are some of these, like, are you going to see immediate results, or would you say, like, it maybe takes 30 days of using it consistently? Or?
It depends on the problem, to be honest. So, like the example with Deep Blue Rub, that I use regularly, and that is like an instant relief for my sore muscles or for a sore joint, for sure. When I have a migraine, peppermint, I apply directly to the pain, because that cooling sensation actually numbs my migraine pain. And so I usually apply it twice before I'm able to fall asleep. And then once I fall asleep, usually when I wake up after like an hour nap, then my migraine is gone. So there are cases like that where it is immediate. A lot of these are like vitamins, that it is using them day after day that you'll start noticing those changes. One thing that I noticed with allergies, I did not have allergies until I moved to Texas, and that was a new fun surprise for me. But when I started using essential oils, it wasn't immediately I was cured, but constantly diffusing. I personally like to use orange mixed with a mint. So a nice tangerine with a spearmint oil. That's, I didn't get into that, but our citrus oils actually clean the air. The limonene in them is what cleanses air and actually can cleanse surfaces. And so having that in the air to help kill pollen, plus the opening of the airways from the mint, I've noticed I don't get my allergy symptoms that I used to after having used that regularly for a couple months. So it definitely depends on what the problem is and how often you use the product.
Neat. Speaking of, you made me think about, it's funny, you being an aerospace engineer, what in the world got you interested in essential oils?
So the funny thing is I was actually,
and I only say that because aerospace engineer, I think of like straight, narrow, engineer, by the books, like,
yes.
Standard medicine, give me my prescriptions, etc.
Yes. So, like I mentioned, I have migraines, and I've had them since I was 13 years old. And mine are the kind, I think they are the worst case you can have, where I get the vision spots. I get numbness a lot, so part of my face will go numb, my arms may go numb. That's kind of standard for me, besides getting the headache, right? All these other symptoms. I used to physically, get sick before I'd actually have a headache too. And I was sick of, doctors just pushing a new medicine on me. And I've never been a fan of putting strange stuff in my body, right? Like what is this going to do to me? What is the long-term effect? So I was actually at a CrossFit competition, and someone mentioned essential oils, and I was like, I'll try anything at this point, right? It's been decades of migraines. And that's the first time I tried the first one was peppermint. And the fact that just a natural occurring compound, I didn't have to take loads of Tylenol, which by the way messed up my stomach because I was so many migraines, so much Tylenol just jacked up my tummy. But peppermint I could apply directly to the pain and numbed it. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this I can work with, this I can do something with. And so I started learning more and really learning all the research that there is out there about all the chemical constituents within our plants, and just they basically harvest that into an oil so you can apply it and it is more focused and concentrated. I just thought, oh my gosh, this is science. This is what I dig. Like this is what, and then using it and seeing the results and being able to use it on my son and see how well, he has done with, being a 3-year-old in a daycare and all the illnesses that they can get, that he's just, knock on wood, does not get. So I've just seen so many good results that can't deny it.
Yeah. Well, I got stuck on when you said decades of suffering with this headache, and I thought, well, that's not true, Melissa, because we're both. I just turned 25, and she's 23. We met when we were babies, actually. So years of suffering with this, not decades.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I liked how you said that you could apply the peppermint to the headache, and so, but if it's in the eyes, don't
go to the eyes.
The peppermint in the eyes. Okay, all right.
I like mine usually occur right above the eyebrow, so it's a good safe spot to apply, and then it will not get into the eye.
Unless you just lather it on real
yes.
quick. So be sparing with it. Cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
Does anybody out there in the audience have any questions real quick before we close this up? You in the back over there, what was it? Raise your hand. Come on up. You can come. I'm just kidding.
And I see Ashley commented, yes, thank you for, trying them out and knowing how helpful they have been for you. Very appreciative.
Cool. Well, if you've got nothing else, we got anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Well, we do have plans that we're going to do this again next month, and we'll have a new topic.
Oh my gosh. How exciting. Oh my gosh. Oh. What is it going to be?
I don't know. Did we decide?
Oh no. Oh no. I don't have any idea. We'll have to wait and see.
It'll be a surprise.
Excited. Cool. Peppermint helps the numbing. Yay. Thank you, Ashley. All right.
All right.
Oh, there's a heart. Heart back to you too. So thank you guys so much for giving us this opportunity to present on how to reduce some stress. Another great way to reduce your stress is book an appointment with your favorite local chiropractor. I'll post the number up there. Just kidding. But anyway, well, thank you so much.
Yes,
and
if you guys want any other information, you can go to www.empoweredmamas. So,
and I'll take the phone here and see if we can.
Mamas.
So this is where that notebook and that pen and paper is going to help out. So you can. Wow, that is a long website whenever I get that close. Sorry about that, guys. I just can't tell what it looks like. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you want to reach out, that's where you can reach out to me at.
All right. Awesome. Thanks. Well, we will be reaching out to you, Melissa. Thanks. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.